Okay. And oh, already live. That was fast. Okay. Hey, perhaps chicken. How you doing? Ah, yeah. I did forget to update the title. We're live for week 11. What are we doing today? Um, let's grab all of that. Let's everyone send. I probably should have done this in the opposite order, but that's okay. Week 11. Yeah. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Save. Title should be updated now. Now I'll chuck it in Canvas. Sweet. Thanks, Mike Jeffries. I got your thing too as well. I'm pretty sure you sent me a pitch, right? Pretty sure I got it. What am I doing? Announcements. Oh, I didn't check because I know it will upset all of you if I've got this wrong. Hold on. Let me adjust this. Too far. Come on. There it is. Guys at the wind tunnel still. You are supposed to be finished at the wind tunnel. Okay, people are starting to come in. I don't know how many we're going to get today. I know a lot of people will obviously be working on their projects and whatnot and be a little bit burnt out, but we'll see. I don't think it's going to take us very long today. It'll depend on how long we spend doing the pitch help. I've got a couple of little bits and pieces to talk about. They're not going to take long at all. And then we'll spend a bit of time just doing some pitch revision. It'll take as long as it takes. But I very much doubt we're going to be here for 2 hours tonight. It's a one can stream. For the 8 a.m. class tomorrow, are we meeting at ES126 still? Um, yes. Yes, you are. Just let me... It's Mex, right? Mex at 8 a.m. tomorrow? I'm guessing you're not a robot. Yes. Meet at ES126, and then we'll have a tutor there. Your regular tutor will... Well, somebody will be chilling in 126, and somebody else will go to the tunnel. Between your regular tutor, one of the other aero tutors, or myself will divide and conquer there. Somebody will stay in 126 and somebody will go over to the tunnel. But start in 126 regardless, just so your tutor gets to kind of touch base with you and make sure you're all good. 42 concurrent viewers. Quite a long way down on last week, but as I said, not necessarily that surprising. Okay, okay. Cool. Cool. How has your week 11 been, everybody? Has it been working out the way you'd hoped? Are you going to have a busy weekend, or are you sitting pretty heading into test day at this stage? How are you guys doing? You got your turbine to spin decently fast without it wobbling really badly? Good. Throw me something in Project Flex so I can have a look. How good was that turbine that exploded? I had a chat to them as well about like making sure they secure their blades nicely because they can spin really fast, and if they spin too fast, they can explode. And then like an hour later, they exploded. Going to be a lot of testing next week? Yeah, there is. Oh, that sucks, Gabriel. Sick and then sick again. It's a rough time to get sick. I'm absolutely going to get sick in like 9 days' time. My body is holding itself together through stress and energy drink right now, but as soon as I relax, I'm going to get really sick. It happens to me every single year. But that sucks that's happening to you now, man. Lots of people at the track. I am unsurprised there are lots of people at the track. I'm pretty sure last year they put this stream on the meeting room in the track. They just somebody like connected to that and put the stream up there because they were all still testing. It was pretty funny. They sent me pictures of yeah, there was like still like 30 people in the track room. That was you, Archie? Yeah, it was pretty funny. It's why we test early, right? It's why we test nice and early so that when something goes disastrously wrong, we have time to fix it. Hmm. Why am I getting added on Discord? Who wants me? Whoa. Okay. Cool. 1 minute past. We got a couple of minutes. We'll give it the full until 5-2, just to make sure. I can close that. I can close that. We're going to bring the entire tube repair medical kit on test day. Oh, I understand your point now. Yeah, and you guys absolutely should be. You're joking here about yeah, bringing a bike tube repair kit. You absolutely should. You bring everything. You bring glue. You bring duct tape. You bring zip ties. You bring scissors. You bring all of the things that can strap your hopes and dreams together in quick succession because it happens. Things go wrong all the time leading into test day. Um, I've never ever not been to a test day where somebody wasn't, strapping stuff together by the skin of their teeth with 5 minutes to go. It always happens. And even if it's not you, you might be able to lend your duct tape to another team that really needs it. And that's a good thing. Like no, it's not a good thing that, you've had something go wrong so close to testing, but the fact that you can think on your feet and you can improvise and you can help each other out absolutely is a good thing and something we would want to see. And your ability to go, okay, something has gone wrong. do I understand my system well enough to be able to go, well, this is a part we can patch on the fly versus this is not a part we can patch on the fly and we need to do something else to it. So watching you problem solve in that environment is often quite a good thing to see. So yeah, be prepared. But then don't necessarily be surprised or disheartened if things don't run perfectly smoothly. It happens. Interesting. Some of the other D cells may be very keen to know about how to plug leaks because I don't know how many people have actually tested and seen whether their device leaks or not. Why am I getting? Oh, I know why I'm getting that phone call. I can't deal with that now. Give me 1 second, everybody. Cool beans. Okay, are we at 5 past yet? Oh, 4 past. We're basically there. We're basically there. Let's get started. I'm just gonna silence this. Sorry about this. I know it's a little unprofessional. That's just a bit of an emergency I'm dealing with on the side, but that is now done. Let's get into it. So, a couple of things, just to team off right at the very beginning, before we get into it. The assessment 6, the final report, a couple updates that have happened to that. So I updated the title page, and by updated I mean gave you the one that I should have given you from the start. I'm sorry about this. This was a mistake on my behalf. I, for some reason, gave you the link to last year's title page. It said 2023 up the top instead of 2024. Uh, I what I did was I edited the bejesus out of the old one so it didn't break all of the internal links that I'd uploaded, and then it turns out that I'd broken a link on Canvas anyway, so whatever. But the new title page is up now. Please make sure you get this particular title page, all right? Don't use the one that was up last week. Go and get it now. It should look like this. It should say 2024 up the top. And it should not ask you for your name. I put a few clarifications in just so people don't get confused about what the project's name is and stuff like that. So yeah, that's been updated. Please go and get the new title page for your reports. Is it linked to that just in the Discord? Yeah, absolutely. So if you're in the Discord and you're in the on-topic assessment 6 questions, I you just scroll up to the top of that. It should also be a pinned message. So if you view all pinned messages, the brief and the title page are just there. That should be by far the easiest way to get to it. You don't need to log into Canvas every single time you want to check it. Just go to those two links. And those two links will always take you to the most up-to-date version. I did make one or two very minor updates to the actual Assessment 6 document, just in response to a few of the questions. They didn't really change anything, but I just re-clarified this. All sections, so sorry, this is in, A6 document that we've seen before. It's got all the different parts to it. All of these have a page limit applied to them, as we spoke about last week. And then I got a couple questions being like, do I actually have to stay within the page limit? And I was like, yes, you do have to stay within the page limit. So I just wrote it as a compliance requirement, which means if somebody doesn't stick within the page limit, you're more than welcome to smash them for that in your review of them because they failed to be compliant. So it sits in here to just be like, yes, the page limits were added for a reason, but that's fine. The clarification has been made. I think I changed one or two of the words in here to make it a little clearer as well. I've also added this point in. Formatting rules in compliance requirements above have been followed. I think some people were getting a little bit confused that they were coming to the formatting guidelines and looking at this and weren't realizing that there was some dot points up here as well. I think some people just straight up missed this because I was asked about body text having double line spacing and stuff a few times. So in order to hopefully clarify that a little bit, I just chucked it in there. So hopefully that makes your lives just a little bit simpler. If I do need to continue making little updates, I will continue making little updates in the interest of clarifying things for you. I won't make major changes to the document from here. So obviously the week 13 is where we're going to spend most of our time in the live stream or streams. In week 13, we'll talk about your assessment 6 quite a lot. Just in case, and I assumed they would have already come through if there are any questions related to assessment 6. Do you have any questions related to assessment 6, the final report? Is there anything you need from me at this stage, or is that all going along fine? I'm aware many of you probably haven't even thought about it yet, but you should. Just while you've got me here, we can do any back and forth. If you have a question, please ask. I don't really suspect it, though. What we get to talk about now is a little bit of demo day stuff, which we've kind of been talking about already. I'm getting pretty excited about this. So yes, we've got one more day of sort of week 11 to do tomorrow with a little bit more testing and stuff like that. Hold on, I'll address these questions before I get distracted talking about demo day. I should address these questions before I move on. Hold on. How should we reference the appendix in our text? Just as you don't. So if you put a bunch of stuff in the appendix, in your text, you would just say, blah, 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 can be found in Appendix A. So, additional design drawings can be found in Appendix A. That's it. That's all you have to say. If you want to have additional design drawings in Appendix A and a full breakdown of costs because it's 12 pages long or something, it shouldn't be, but let's just assume that it was, can be found in Appendix B. You can have multiple appendices, and you only put kind of one type of thing per appendix. So all my UML diagrams are in one appendix, and all my design drawings are in another, and all of my cost breakdowns are in another, and I have just Appendix A, B, and C in that case. And then just in your text, you put in 1 or 2 UML diagrams, and you say more detailed ones have been relegated, can be found in Appendix A, or whatever. Yeah, look, if you've mainly just inserted section titles at this moment, that's not a bad place to have started. And for how many hours did this assignment take? That's an approximation, right? Yes, correct. It's a little bit of self-reflection. It's about getting you to write down how long it takes you so that next time you get a 30% assignment or a 24-page report or something, your brain kind of knows how to deal with it. I want you to write it down because when I make students write that number down, they do better. And when I make them write down what grade they expect to get, they actually perform better as solely being asked to write that down. And then it's also for you for your own reflection moving forward. Sweet. Okay, demo day. It's looking good. I'm loving what people are chucking up in Project Flex and stuff like that. Their successes, or far more often at this point in semester, their hilarious failures. Keep doing that. Keep being engaged in demo day. Keep enjoying this fact. Yes, it might be a little bit of high pressure at the moment, but it should still be something that you're very proud of to get to the end of. More and more, I'm seeing things that you deserve to be genuinely proud of. There's some really, really cool stuff coming out of this. And it is worth, sometime between now and when you actually present on demo day, just trying to do a little bit of that self-reflection. Where were you in week 1 of semester when you were first presented your project brief? Did you even understand what was actually involved in it? Versus where are you now? Just a measly 13 weeks later. It's a remarkable growth. So you deserve to be proud of that fact. You deserve to be proud of the fact that you physically are going to have something you can hand me next week that I can interact with and play with and whatever. You've done an amazing job and you should be excited about it because it's really cool. A I've been talking to some people this week, as many of you as humanly possible, about how you plan to present yourself to me next week. And the main kind of questions that I ask people is, why should I pick your design? Which is kind of looking at your performance criteria. What did you optimize for? What are you good at compared to other people or whatever? One of the answers I've been getting a lot of that has led people into a bit of trouble has been, it's good at the thing you told us it had to be good at. And my response to that is like, well, yeah, obviously it's good at that. Every single person in the room is good at that. That's the constraint. Why should I pick yours? Assume everybody's good at the main objective, because everybody will be good at the main objective. A few people won't. They will have had some bad luck and it won't have worked out. But most people will be good at the main objective. How do you do at everything else? Like, what separates you out from the pack? So a few different places where this comes up quite often is, say, the civil engineering project. They have to build a water tower to hold up an amount of water, a weight of water. And a lot of people come and say, you should pick ours because it's really strong. And I say, well, if you can hold the water tank and every other team can hold the water tank, we don't own a bigger tank. Like, there's no more weight I can put on it. So being stronger than another team isn't any better. It doesn't make you better in this scenario. There's no more points to score here. You crossed the bar or you didn't. That's it. So you don't often want that to be your main sell. Another one is often, we came in under the maximum budget. Well, yeah, everybody should have come in under the maximum budget. That's not necessarily scoring you a huge amount of points. So let's take a step back from there and go, assume you met the constraints. Great. What are you good at? What separates out your team? What did you optimize for? Talk to me about those things. That's what separates you out, okay? So that's something I want to see you be able to do. There's nothing wrong with saying our top priority was the main goal, but also be able to talk to me about what separates your team from everybody else. One of the things that's important to be able to do there is look around at the people around you and assess their designs fairly as well. So that you're not sitting there saying, well, we're going to come to you on cost because we're under budget, but every other person in the room is also under budget. Like, you want to be able to look around and see that. It's also quite a good thing to be able to say to this question, why should I pick your design? Maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you should actually pick their design, or at least if you're most interested in blah, blah, blah things, that team over there has actually done a really, really good job of that. You shouldn't lead with that, and you shouldn't put that in your pitch, but it's a good piece of personal reflection to do, to be able to look around the room and identify the things that some of the other teams are really strong at. It allows you to see where your niche might be. And it's good engineering practice to be able to sort of recognize and acknowledge that something else is really good. Yeah, we should have done what they did on this particular parameter. And I know I'm being very vague in general here, but on this particular parameter, Team 2 over there, they knocked it out of the park. We should have done what they did. They did a great job of that. If you get that as a question, that might be a good answer. It's at least a very good piece of reflection for you to do. Cool. What section should we be up to by the end of this week for the final report? I wouldn't write in sections at all, ever. I would write about the things that I have got data on. I wouldn't be aiming to finish any section at all. I would be aiming to put some content in all of the sections and then build them up as they go. It's not... Working through an engineering report from start to finish is a very, very bad idea most of the time. Sometimes you can do it, but almost always it's a bad strat. You should work through the stuff that's sort of most important and then write the other sections around it. So you should at the moment be collecting data and evidence so that you can write about your design. but you won't be able to finish that until test day. So I wouldn't be looking to work through your report linearly. I think that could get you in a little bit of trouble there. And it can also get some people in trouble when they like try and write their introduction and then come and write their results and discussion later. As sometimes those things don't marry up very well because what they thought was going to happen when they wrote their introduction isn't what happened. So be careful about trying to say, I have finished this section. It's a good idea to always sort of be able to come back and look and iteratively improve these sections. Okay? If our turbine doesn't work on test day, we shouldn't recommend that you should use we shouldn't recommend that you should not use the design. You shouldn't use so many double negatives. If your solution doesn't do very well on test day, it's fine to not make a recommendation at the end. I'd still like you to talk to me about what your design was intended to do, what it is capable of doing. But if you're very well aware that it falls short, there's nothing wrong with saying, and our recommendation is not to implement this in its current state, but to go through a full design iteration from here. That's a completely fine thing to say. In fact, and we're going to see this in one of the pitches, I think, at some stage, overstating your position in your pitch is a very bad thing to do. And this is a delicate line to tread. You don't want to stand up and be like, yeah, this is a bit shit. Like, that's not good. But standing up and saying, this is the greatest thing on the face of the earth, when it's clearly not, is it also a terrible thing to do? What we're looking for in your pitch is your ability to accurately portray your solution and tell us, convince us with evidence why it's a good fit to the problem. Even if you didn't quite get there on the implementation, this is why conceptually it would be a good fit for the problem. But don't oversell us. I wouldn't just totally tank my own design. But yeah, if it doesn't work and you know it doesn't work, don't tell me it's great. Okay, this is another thing that I think is coming. Plan for things to go wrong. So, things go wrong on test day. It happens, it always happens. It is a good idea for you to spend a little bit of time between now and whenever your demo day is, thinking through what could go wrong and what are we going to do if it goes wrong. So some of that is duct tape and zip ties and make sure you've packed the rubber bands and whatever. And that's fine. That's a good thing to do. Another thing is to make sure you've collected as much evidence as possible that you can present me. So a video of your solution working posted in your Discord chat is great evidence. And this would have to be posted in your actual Discord chat, okay? Not in a DM or a group message or a Facebook or a fucking Snapchat of you and the lads. A nice video, like, by all means do that and celebrate your wins when you get them, but then maybe create a nice video which is a whole heap of evidence of it working and then put it in your chat. And then if everything goes shit come test day, hey, you've got some evidence to back it up. The amount of people who say, oh, but it worked in week 11, and I say, okay, show it to me, and they go, oh, we've got a photo of this bit and a 10-second video of that bit, and I've got some photos on my Facebook of this. I'm like, that's not sufficient evidence. This is really problematic with the robot project, which often people will get it working sometime over the weekend. Then the track will degrade in quality because that happens every year, and then it won't work on test day. Take nice videos of it completing the thing and working and put them in your Discord chat. I can't say I'm going to let you pass just on that, but I cannot give you 0. Okay? So collect data, Put evidence of functioning project in your team Discord channel. Okay? Cool. Plan for failures to happen. Is the demo day tomorrow? No. No demo day tomorrow. Demo day is next week. But everybody should be testing in week 11. Trying to replicate demo day as much as humanly possible. For software, should I record a run through of me using the app in Thunkable for proof? Yeah, that would be a good thing to do. Just make a screen recording of you going through and talking about it and stuff like that. And then if something goes disastrously wrong, a whole bunch of your project gets deleted overnight, then yeah, you've got some evidence behind you. That'd be a good thing to do. Also, in the event of a situation like this, we're talking about a software-y thing here. Everybody back their code up. Tonight, I want every single one of you, if you have any code at any stage for any reason that's currently functioning, I want you to save a redundant copy of it on a USB stick or email it or something completely separate to everything else and never edit it again. So you can get back to this point in time if everything goes wrong. If somebody comes in, perhaps chicken, and deletes your entire project, do you have a redundant backup of it saved somewhere? If you're a robot project and all of your code is sitting on your laptop right now, and you drop your laptop in the rain, do you have a redundant backup of that code? Everybody should do that this weekend, okay? Or as soon as you get it working, save some redundancy. If you're a more mechanical-minded project, you're doing a design and build thing, and it kind of works right now, and a lot of you have something that works reasonably well right now, and you think you can fix it. I can make it better from here. Be extremely careful cutting into something that currently works. Can you just build another one and completely swap it in and out, such that you don't compromise the integrity of something? It doesn't happen very often, but every now and then a team trying to take a little step forward ends up totally screwing it up and taking a massive step backwards. So if possible, if you want to make tweaks to something that currently works, I mean, if it doesn't currently work, who the hell cares? Throw caution to the winds, doesn't matter. But if it does currently work, look at being careful about making redundant copies or duplicates of things such that you don't go backwards. Okay, cool. If you have any questions about that type of stuff, chuck them up. If you're particularly scared about anything, or if you have done something that you think was a really good idea in terms of safety at this point, and you think others would benefit from doing a similar thing, chuck that in the chat as well. During class tomorrow, how many times can a group use the wind turbine? Depends how busy it is. You guys will just line up in order and we'll just test you. And once you've tested, you can go back to the end of the line and you can try and make your way through again. Don't be scared of me. I'm fine. That's probably a valid point to actually address, though. Don't be scared of me. I understand, particularly if you got me in like week 9, 10 or 9 or 10 or somewhere around there. I can cast, and I don't do this to everybody, but sometimes I cast a fairly intimidating presence. Partly that's my job throughout semester, is to be the foil to your tutors. You're meant to love them and hate me sometimes. Not always, but sometimes, because that dynamic works. Come test day, it's this version of Dylan you're going to get as much as possible. But not always. Sometimes you're going to get scary Dylan, and that's okay. Don't fret about it. If I'm grilling you on something, it's because I'm looking for an excuse to give you marks. I don't grill people on test day to knock them down. I grill people on test day because I'm sitting there with my marking rubric going, I can't currently tick this box. Maybe if I ask this kid a really difficult question, they'll be able to give me a good answer, and then I'll be able to give them some free marks. I'm looking for ways to give you marks on test day. I'm telling you how to manipulate me in order to get them. Okay. With the report, is thunkable code okay for a figure? As an example, you could throw in a little bit of thunkable code, but realistically, we never want to see code in a report. I want to see UML diagrams. Can we use the ES wind tunnel while we wait? Yeah, yeah, probably. I would be cautious. I'd be trying to get in the big tunnel as much as possible. It hasn't really been that busy. To be honest, most teams have been able to test 2 or 3 times if they've been ready to go at the beginning of class. But yeah, sure, you could if the line was really long tomorrow, but I don't think you'll need it. Yeah, I know. You got to be able to turn it off and on. Sweet. All right, let's do some pitch advice. Let's do some pitch advice. So, a couple of you have done a really great job of sending me some pitches. Thank you to those of you who have done so. I'm going to grab them up now and I'm going to play them. I'm pretty sure you guys will all be able to hear this audio. If you can't, let me know, okay? So, what we're going to do is I'm going to let it play through in its entirety, and then I'm going to restart it, and I'm going to give commentary on it after they've finished, okay?
Dr. Dillon and Associates. Today our team is presenting our robot, MARV. MARV stands for Modular Advanced Robotic Vehicle, for the trial of the ENGG1500 robot test track. The team's assumptions of the client's needs decided our key aspects of focus. Modularity. MARV showcases the team's modular functionality. MARV operates with each module needing its own dedicated code that the main code draws from. This allows reduced downtime for functionality changes and maintenance. This modular code was successfully tested on a minimalist robot with reduced accuracy and functionality. Advanced. MARV showcases the advanced features through its accelerometer and magnometer. The team justified the client would value the ability to log surface faults with location in real time. MARV wirelessly connects to a terminal to record this data. Robotic. MARV makes decisions on its progress through the test track through its coding algorithms, decided by its sensor outputs, fulfilling the autonomous requirement. Vehicle. MARV's vehicle design is around being modular. The infrared sensors are mounted to a 3D printed protective mount and are evenly spaced, thus enabling quick replacement and calibration. The wiring looms are colour-coded using wires of appropriate length to reduce cost, weight, and to facilitate prefabricated wiring harnesses, improving reliability. Whilst MARV is more expensive than other robots, the team believes fulfilling the needs of the client to be of greater significance. Thank you for your time.
Okay. So obviously that was a pitch for the robot project. For the robot project, a couple of pieces of info that will help you guys understand and contextualize that pitch a little bit. They're making a small version of the product that they know is never ever going to be the prototype that goes into reality. It's there as a demonstrator of their skills to go, yep, we're capable of doing this in a very artificial environment so that we can show our skills to be the people to take it out and do it bigger picture moving forward. So, that just might help make a little bit of sense of some of the things that get said. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to break this down, I'm going to pause, I'm going to talk, I'm going to pause, I'm going to talk. So first thing.
Hello, Dr. Dillon and Associates.
There. That's a very formal start. And there's nothing wrong in a formal presentation with making sure that you address according to essentially rank in this environment. You would address me as doctor, and you would either address me, if I was in the room, either first as the highest ranking person in the room. You would address, professors, doctors, and, work your way through the social hierarchy or the academic hierarchy here. Is absolutely what you are supposed to do at the start of a formal presentation. I don't need it in this environment. And what's really important to me when you give your pitch is that you address the entire room. Do not look at me whilst you pitch, unless I am standing at the back in the center of the room, which I do sometimes because it helps you project yourself. But if I'm standing off the side in a corner, Do not look at me, look at the room. Present to your peers as a whole. Okay? It's really important. If you can engage the 20 other people in the room, you will engage me. Don't worry about it. But if you just try and engage me, you will alienate the other 20 people in the room. Now, I'm not saying that's what this presenter did. They didn't. They actually did what I think is quite a good job of this.
Hello, Dr. Dillon and Associates. Today our team is presenting.
So the N associates, I would hope in that environment, they might, look to me and say, hello, Dr. Dillon, and associates. And then they would talk to the room from that point onwards. One of the things that I don't love about this tone and presentation is that I'm pretty sure, if I had to bet, I reckon this person was sitting down and I reckon the recording device was quite close to their face. That's what gives them a little bit of the flat tone that you're hearing. They sound kind
Our
of
robot, MARV.
the same.
MARV stands for Modular Advanced Robotic Vehicle.
If they'd done this instead, they'd put their recording device maybe away from them, not even necessarily, but they'd stood up and they'd given their presentation standing in a room projecting to the wall. They would immediately have more body to their voice and they would sound more engaging. By the way, I have no idea where my camera points when I stand up because I don't do that anymore. So I hope you didn't just look at, my feet there, but you probably did. So no matter what, when you when you practice the way you plan to present. You're going to be standing up when you present, so stand up when you practice. You're going to be talking to like 20 people when you present, so talk as though there are 20 people in your room. Practice talking to your back wall. I did all of my lecture prep when I used to give face-to-face lectures and I would be on a stage. I would just stand at one end of my house and I would talk to the wall at the other end of my house. Pissed my girlfriend off, something shocking. But it meant I would practice with body and volume. Okay? So when you practice the way you plan to present.
Today our team is presenting our robot, MARV. MARV stands for Modular Advanced Robotic Vehicle.
So today our team is presenting our robot, MARV. I like it. I like that. He's like, I'm part of a team. That's nice. It brings his teammates in. That's cool. It would be nice for him to say in this case, I'm part of team 3 presenting our blah, blah, blah. Because, and this is here specifically because your marker might be trying to jot things down. And they'll have their marking sheet out and they'll be like, wait, which team did I just get up here? If you can just say what team you're part of at the start of your pitch, that will make your marker's life a little bit easier.
For the trial of the ENGG1500 robot test track, the team's assumptions of the client's needs decided our key aspects of focus.
I conceptually like this point. I hate the phrasing of it. Our assumptions of the client's needs. It sounds like a sentence that you wrote and then you read. It doesn't sound like a sentence a human being would ever say to another human being in conversation. The concept, the topic is excellent and I love it, but just that wording felt a little unnatural to me. So I would look at just humanifying that wording a tiny little bit.
Modularity. MARV showcases the team's modular functionality. MARV operates with each module needing its own dedicated code that the main code draws from. This allows reduced downtime for functionality changes and maintenance.
I like this middle, and look, the structure that this person has adopted, where they've given their thing an acronym MARV and then they break the 4 parts of it down, isn't going to work for most of you. Don't all go and make 4-letter acronyms for your projects. But the fact that this person clearly has a structure that they're following is quite nice. And what I really like is every time they do this, they're going to say, modularity is the thing I'm about to talk about. How is it modular? Why does the client care? And they're going to do this, I'm pretty sure, every time pretty well.
Marv operates with each module needing its own dedicated code that the main code draws from.
So that's the how it works. And now why do I care?
Allows reduced downtime for functionality changes and maintenance.
Cool. Reduce maintenance costs and stuff like that. Great.
This modular code was successfully tested on a minimalist robot with reduced accuracy and functionality.
Okay, and then the next part of it is the evidence, which I also like. So, what is it? How does it work? Why does the client care? What is your evidence to back that statement up? Conceptually good. Again, this last sentence, I don't think it flows very nicely, but conceptually I like that it exists.
Advanced. Marv showcases the advanced features through its accelerometer and magnometer. The team justified the client would value the ability to log surface faults with location in real time. Marv wirelessly connects to a terminal to record this data. Robotic.
Good. What it is, why do I care, how does it work? There's no evidence there, really. I would hope that they have the ability, if I ask them, how does that work, to show me that data being recorded really quickly and easily, because that would be something that's a bit of a loose thread there. Now, he might have dangled that thread deliberately, knowing that I would ask him to demonstrate that functionality. If he's going to claim it can be wirelessly broadcast to a terminal, show me, prove it to me. Oh, okay, there's your proof. So it'd be nice to be able to see that evidence, but you would want to physically see it, not talk about it in the pitch. So good.
Marv makes decisions on its progress through the test track through its coding algorithms, decided by its sensor outputs, fulfilling the autonomous requirement.
Vague, wishy-washy statement. Now, I understand why it's there. It's because the structure that this person has requires them to make a bit of a vague, wishy-washy statement. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not great. It's not terrible. Move on.
Vehicle. Marv's vehicle design is around being modular. The infrared sensors are mounted to a 3D printed protective mount and are evenly spaced, thus enabling quick replacement and calibration. The wiring looms are colour-coded using wires of appropriate length to reduce cost, weight, and to facilitate prefabricated wiring harnesses, improving reliability. Whilst Marv is more expensive than other robots.
So, they're going to give me at the end here the loss they know is coming. He knows he's going to lose on cost, right? He's going to bait it out of me here, say, yep, we're more expensive, but we provide this. This is good, because I would have been asking about the costs of all these extra functionalities. Now I've been made aware that they are aware that, yeah, the costs are a little bit of a downside here, but
the team believes fulfilling the needs of the client to be of greater significance. Thank you for your time.
And ends with a thank you for your time. Your end doesn't have to be any more complicated than that, but it has to be a very clear, distinct end. You don't need this. But yes. Good pitch. Very, very good pitch. If you can make the vine boom with your mouth alone. Yeah, be very careful trying to be funny in front of a crowd of people. It's very hard. Will D-Cell pitch in one room? No, we'll walk around and you'll pitch to us and we'll probably get a little bit of a crowd. The pitch is supposed to be aimed... Everybody should understand your pitch. If only the client understands it, it's a bad pitch. No palm cards? I would almost always prefer somebody to just talk at me about points than read me anything off a palm card ever. The problem with palm cards make you boring, robotic, meaningless things. If you're going to write something on a palm card, don't bother standing up, just hand me the piece of paper and leave. Like, it's not that bad. And some people do a really good job of using palm cards as palm cards. What's my next talking point? Oh yeah, it's that. Don't forget to talk about blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's fine. If you're using palm cards as genuine palm cards, like they have one dot point on each of them and you have 6 palm cards total, fine. If you write a full sentence on your palm card, rip it up and throw it in the bin. Did drama in high school. First lesson, the teacher said, if you need to record lines, always send while recording. Hey, somebody who's competent at teaching this stuff agrees with me. Would I prefer if one person were to present the pitch or the whole group? Okay, so I spoke about this a little bit last week. It's a very valid question. I don't care. I care that you have a good reason why you picked that number of presenters. That's one of my favorite questions. Why that number of presenters? The benefits of there only being one presenter is it gives it a nice flow and it's quite contained and I only need to listen to one person. It's not jumping around and that person can commit to doing a good job of the presentation. And one person presentations are often very good as a result of that. The reasons I would go to multiple person presentations is if it's very clear that you want to talk about, let's take the Marv example, and let's say that the team split them up, and they didn't in this case, but let's say that the team had split them up. One of them worked exclusively on the modularity functions. One of them worked exclusively on the autonomy functions. One of them worked exclusively on the vehicle functions, whatever it is. I could see each one of those people giving that sort of 3 or 4 sentence part themselves, and then it gives an indication of this person is the expert in this area. This person is the expert in this area, and so they spoke to their own expertise. Both of these things are fine. It's more have a reason for why you're doing it that way. Body language is underrated. Stuff 309. I hope you guys are having fun in there. Do we want costings in our numbers in our pitch like cost and energy output? Yes. So that is something that most of you will want. It's very difficult for the robot project to do that. Just because of the way that that project happens to work. But it was one of the things I meant to mention. Overwhelmingly, you should have costs in there, you should have outputs, you should have values. And what this team should have done is also had some evidence of their week 11 testing. Now, maybe they haven't finished their week 11 testing, which is fair, but they should have said somewhere in here, like towards the end, our Marv has successfully completed this percentage of the track in prior testing. That sentence would have been really, really powerful towards the end. You know, bringing all of these features together, our robot has successfully done blah, blah, blah. And although it's high on cost, we believe its improved features make it worth it. You should absolutely have numbers. Is PowerPoint worth it? Most of you won't even have the option of having PowerPoint. This is also worth addressing, and the drama teacher would probably back me up here. It's very important when giving a good presentation that you as the person can hold the attention of the crowd. You should not be relying on visuals and PowerPoints and whatever to do anything for you. You should be the focus of the crowd. You be the focus of the crowd. You can absolutely have your solution with you and you can point to it from time to time, but you should be the star. You be the star. No PowerPoint. If you're an education student, that's different, and Josh has already spoken to you about that because your pitch is different. So if you're education, that doesn't apply. If you're software, that sort of applies, it sort of doesn't. You won't have a projector, but you can have a laptop because you've got two of your people are going to be online, right? Liam and Ross, two of your markers will be online. But for most of you, no PowerPoint. How important is the presentation aspect compared to the content of the pitch? They're intrinsically linked because they multiply themselves together. So your job with your pitch is to position me as a marker into the place where you want me. You manipulate me to be sitting there thinking about the things you want me thinking about right before I start marking you. So this person has tried to manipulate me into being in a mindset which says cost doesn't matter in this project, but the ability to do cool things on the track really does, and extra functional features are super cool and should be worth heaps of marks. They need to convince me of that to help me manipulate my marking rubric into helping them as much as possible. Okay. So the better you are at that, the more you will be able to move your marker into where you want them to be. You cannot separate content from delivery if that's your goal. You can never ever separate content from delivery when it comes to giving a presentation. I'm just going to time you out. Put user in timeout for 5 minutes. Unplug your keyboard or something. So when we have numbers, should we have a piece of paper with the numbers on it if they may be hard to remember? Probably not. You should probably have simpler numbers on it. If you can't remember them, then me as a marker is not going to remember them. So a place where people get into a lot of trouble here is they come in and say, our project costs $79.26 and makes 14.87 watts of power. Fuck no. Our project costs just under $80 and makes just under 15 watts of power. That's what you say. If you need to write them down, a human being can't digest them. You're overcomplicating it. Round your things out a little bit more than that. Have them written down, because when you get the question, how much under $80? How much under 15 watts? Then you've got them written down, preferably in a way that you could hand to the marker, and then they could have them so they don't have to copy that shit out, because nobody wants to do that as a marker. Okay? It's a good question. It is a good question, and you can have it. This actually, Toom, is to roll back to Clyde's point. One of the reasons you could have multiple presenters. It could be that one person presents, and I get up to the point where I'm at costs, and I go, the cost required to build one is, and I point at one of my fellow people, and their job is to know that number. That's it. That's the only thing they have to say. When I point at them, they will give me that cost. And the amount of power produced by the wind turbine, because that's apparently the example I'm using, I point at somebody else, and they tell me that number. And they might only chime in for those things, and then you as a presenter don't have to worry about memorizing those specific bits of information. That would be way better than you having to pull the palm card out and read it. Oh, also, don't fucking write it on your phone, because you will end up reading it off your phone like this, and you will screw your ability to engage with the crowd up. Sorry. Okay. Would it be appropriate to state items that were used that were not that were bought but were not entirely used, like 100 screws, for example? Probably not. You will, if you're a design and build project, you will have the opportunity to talk about cost savings at mass production, and you could talk about it there. So absolutely, don't make that half your pitch. Cost savings at mass production or at scale or at whatever are expected to tend towards a price. So, our turbine costs just under $80, produced just under 15 watts of power. We believe, our turbine produced just under 15 watts of power. To make this one from scratch, Dylan, it would cost you just under $80. However, at mass production, we would expect that price to tend down towards about $63 based on more efficient use of screws, plywood, and long lengths of PVC pipe. That, as a nice human sentence, is a very good thing to have. Breaking into the Bunnings fucking spreadsheet is not something I want to see. Yes, no death by PowerPoint. Cool. All right, I have another pitch. So let's do this. This is a...
Hi, I'm Mitchell Jeffrey. I'm a part of T24 Group 6, and here with you today is the Tupperware turbine. This retrofitted box provides a reliable source of deployable power during natural disasters. We've achieved this through prioritising robust materials such as wood for our base, PET for an nacelle, as well as PVC for the tower and blades. This, alongside our enclosed drive shaft, has allowed for improved durability in inclement weather as it reduces the degradation of parts due to corrosion. Because of this, we predict that it should stay operable for at least 2 weeks unattended. Furthermore, our reliability has also been improved through the addition of a wind-orienting bearing. This large bearing attached to the top of the tower allows for consistent operation regardless of wind direction. We found this to be crucial to the long-term effectiveness of the turbine, as in wild weather the wind may change direction many times within an hour. However, one of the drawbacks of this design is that we have not explicitly targeted power output as one of our measures for performance. As a result, during tested, we measured only a measly half a volt in the test rig. And that was the Tupperware turbine.
Okay, that is not a bad pitch. There's some bits in it that could be improved, but there's some bits of this that I really like. What this person and the person before did really, really well was committed to their bit. I loved. Hold on.
Hi, I'm Mitchell Jeffrey. I'm a part of T24 Group 6, and here with you today is the Tupperware turbine.
Great first sentence. Let's go to the end.
A measly half a volt in the test rig.
Sure. And now their last sentence.
And that was the Tupperware turbine.
Fantastic. Really good opening, really good closing. The opening has everything I want in it. I know who Mitchell is, I know what team Mitchell is from, and I know what this turbine is. Great. And at the end, it's a very clear wrapping up final thing. Really nice start, really nice end. Very, very good. Good emotive expression as well. I still do think that this person is probably sitting down, but they're doing I shouldn't say a much better, because the first presenter was not bad by any means, but they're doing quite a good job of being flexible and engaging.
And here with you today is the Tupperware turbine. This retrofitted box provides a reliable source of deployable power during natural disasters.
So what I'm going to really like about the next sort of 30 to 40 seconds of this is this person knows their pitch. Like they know their sell. They're hitting me with a good, robust, reliable turbine. And they're going to tell me this in like 4 different ways. They're going to layer it on, and everything's going to add up and make sense. And they're just going to build this really nice, cohesive argument around why their turbine is good.
We've achieved this through prioritising robust materials such as wood for our base, PET for an nacelle, as well as PVC for the tower and blades. This, alongside our enclosed drive shaft, has allowed for improved durability in inclement weather as it reduces the degradation of parts due to corrosion.
So they're stacking durable materials. They're listing off 3 of them at once, which is a really nice just thing for a human being to get stuff in rules of 3. And then they're going on to talk about their enclosure, reducing their corrosion, again, increasing their robustness. I know what the Tupperware turbine is all about. This is great. I don't love this wording.
For improved durability in inclement weather as it reduces the degradation of parts due to corrosion.
The inclement weather, I think, again, is a word that is technically correct when written down. It doesn't sound great in a conversation. That being said, it was delivered beautifully. I don't think I could have listened to another person deliver the word inclement weather and not had it sound like they did a really, really good job of how they presented it. But they might want to be able to change that word to something like rough weather, because it probably counteracts their point of, or goes with their point of robustness, reliability in rough weather. That would build a little bit more, build their point a little bit more. But again, delivered very well.
Because of this, we predict that it should stay operable for at least 2 weeks unattended.
Good, they put a number in it, and they put a reasonable number. 2 weeks is about as long as I would expect any ENGG1500 project to ever survive. Do not tell me something's going to last 2 years if you've not left it out in the sun and the wind and the rain for a reasonable amount of time. Okay, the amount of people who give me lifespans that are just utterly ridiculous, and they make you look like an idiot. Like, yeah, we've designed this for 2 years. I'm like, I wouldn't leave this in the tunnel for 2 minutes. You're a terrible engineer. You couldn't see that. You couldn't see the huge safety risk. But 2 weeks is at least reasonable. Now, I haven't seen this turbine in the tunnel. Maybe 2 weeks is utterly ridiculous. But being able to predict accurately these types of things is important. I'm looking for you to understand your design. Don't tell me it's going to last 2 years if it's going to last 2 minutes, okay?
Furthermore, our reliability has also been improved through the addition of a wind-orienting bearing.
Okay, this is where the pitch now starts to weaken. What they're going to talk about is the fact that they put a tail fin on it so the turbine can spin into the wind. There is not a single ENGG1500 mechanical wind turbine project in any of the 5 classes that doesn't have the ability to orient itself into the wind. They can all do it. Now, it's worth mentioning. It's absolutely worth mentioning because it is important. But it shouldn't get as many seconds in the pitch as it probably gets here. This is probably a point where I'm like, yeah, man, it faces the wind. I know. They all do. So, yes, worth mentioning. Maybe not worth discussing for as long as it is discussed. Unless there's some part of this. Now, I can't see their turbine. So maybe there is some part of their yaw mechanism that they're really, really proud of and they want to point out. And maybe that there is more to this. But from what is being said, it probably isn't as valuable.
This large bearing attached to the top of the tower allows for consistent operation regardless of wind direction. We found this to be crucial to the long-term effectiveness of the turbine, as in wild weather, the wind may change direction many times within an hour.
All true. But again, are you distinguishing yourself from the pack or not here? Maybe you are. Maybe you're really proud of it. And if you are, great. Leave it there. But if not, maybe look at factoring something else in that you're proud of.
However, one of the drawbacks of this design is that we have not explicitly targeted power output as one of our measures for performance. As a result, during tested, we measured only a measly
Okay. So they messed up here, right? They got tangled in their wording.
output as one of our measures for performance. As a result, during tested, we measured only.
They got tangled up, and then they moved the fuck on. That is absolutely the correct thing to have done. In their head right now, they're probably like, oh no, I messed my sentence up, whatever. Move on. No one cares. You're allowed to mess your wording up. Move on. If you really mess your wording up and you confused me, I'm going to say, hey, I didn't really quite understand what you were trying to get at here. Do you want to have another go at explaining that to me? And then you can come back and you can explain it again yourself. You will get tongue-tied. It happens all the time. It happens to me all the time, right? It happens. It's fine. Get tongue-tied. Either just have another one go at repeating yourself. That's fine. Or just move on. Okay? Don't sit there being stuck in something that your brain is just refusing to let your mouth do. Sometimes it happens. Just move on. Really, really well done.
A measly half a volt in the test rig. And that was the Tupperware turbine.
Again, they knew where they were going to lose. They called it out. It's not great here because it's really important that these things produce power. This is not a performance criteria that you can let go. But they acknowledged it. They know. They didn't try and say, and it's great because it produces a half a watt. It produces a half a watt, or a half a volt. It is what it is. Okay. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It'd be really good if they could get more than half a volt out of it, though. By the way, just, I don't know, Mitchell, how fast your thing was spinning, but that could have been a generator issue, so maybe you'll get more than that. It's missing cost analysis, which it so desperately needs. It needs to contain a discussion of costs as well. Because if it costs like $6, great. If it's going to last 2 weeks and cost $6, I don't really care that it only makes half a watt. If it costs $99 and only makes half a watt, okay, that's not brilliant. But I want to know the costs in your pitch. Okay, it's really important to me. Okay, I'm just gonna scan the chat real quick. Um, We were given the option of presenting 2 wind turbines. How would we pitch that? Okay, so a few of you have done this. A few of you are sitting at the moment with 2 potential options. If you've still got both come test day, what you do is you pitch your main and your alternative. And you just pick one to be your main and you pick one to be the alt and you present like that. And you spend the overwhelming majority of time on the main and you counterpoint every now and then to the alternative. That's how you run it through. There's quite a few of you who are going to present me something like that. Have a main and have a sidekick. All right? That's how you do that. I butchered the last line. Don't worry about it. So yes, you did, but you actually didn't do as bad as you think. I think you did a really good job of that. We should be giving our projects a name. Ah, okay. Should you give your projects a name? This is worth addressing. Not this many people are going to have a name. And I don't love the idea of naming yours because somebody else named theirs and you think it will look good in a pitch. I love the idea of people who have organically grew a nickname for their bot or their solution because they're super proud of it. That tells me something about your team. Giving something a name by committee that has no soul doesn't really work. Don't feel that you have to. Do you have to give it a name? No, absolutely not. And unless you already have a name that you like to call it, probably don't give it a name this late in the semester. But if you would like to give it a name, if you think that's a cool thing to do, please, by all means, do so. Are we allowed to say our names in the pitch? Yes, absolutely. In fact, as the presenter, you probably should say your name, at least your first name. Recorded on your AirPods. Ah, cool. Big fancy words make me lose attention. Look, sometimes they're appropriate. There are certain times when you should be using specific terminology, but yeah. Surveying projects lifespans, yeah, that's something you will want to put quite a few brain cells to. I sincerely hope the surveying project lasts more than 2 weeks. You absolutely should be looking at making an argument around years. Absolutely. Um, Again, try and be realistic with it. Don't tell me 200 years if it's not going to last 2 years. But yeah, you should be talking years, not weeks. Absolutely, yeah. Good call, Finn. You absolutely are a bit of a different situation there. Is having a modular design that has easily replaceable, upgradable parts a good point for your pitch? It depends. It depends on how easily you can modularize it, and it depends, really importantly, and this is something I probably should have led with before. Why do I care? I'm the client. Do I care? Can you convince me that the fact that it is modular is helpful and useful to me? So the first presenter tried to convince me that it being modular would help reduce my downtime and maintenance costs. Yeah, they're probably right. I don't really care. I'm not super convinced by that point, so I'm glad. Like, yeah, sure, but meh, I'd rather see performance. But then they only spent 2 sentences on it, right? So I'm very happy with that being part of their pitch, but not being the biggest sell for it. So anything can be good and anything can be bad. It's about how well you can convince me that it solves my problem. Okay? That's the important thing. A lot of people put a performance criteria in front of me and I respond to them with that makes their design look good. And I respond to them with, all right, why as a client do I care about any of this? And they just completely go to pieces. The nice thing about, again, to repeat, what was done in the first presentation was that every time they gave me a feature, they told me why I should care about it, right? You've got to be convincing there. I think it was more about your physical presence when you guys were presenting. I think both of you will be totally fine in front of a crowd. In fact, Sam, I don't really have any concerns whatsoever about your ability to project your presence into a crowd. For software, is it safe to say that our app will last 2 to 3 weeks? Yeah, well, for software, you only need it to last one iteration, right? So it is worth considering that for the softwares. You've got a weird thing around lifetime, right? Like it doesn't degrade with time, but are you going to bother to keep it updated? If this is going to be an annual recurring conference, would you dust the old code off every year and rerun the thing? Or would it be a one and done and put it away type situation? So that's where the softwares could consider a lifetime argument. I wouldn't be prioritizing lifetime super high if I was a software. But you absolutely could consider whether or not your app could be reused 12 months later if it was an annual conference. And you could discuss that as an option if you wanted to. What on earth is the surveying project? The surveying project's really cool. It turns out, very quick distraction, everybody, because this is super duper cool. It turns out that buried all around Australia are these pieces of galvanized pipe that surveyors bury in the ground at known specific locations. And they define things like where the corner of a fence line is, or a block, like a city block, where the corner of the city block is, or something like that. They bury these posts in the ground, and then they come back and then they dig them up, and then they use that exact location as a reference to check things. So if I like go and tear my back fence down and put it up 3 meters into my neighbor's land, and I rerun a fence line along there, and then there's a border dispute about where the fence is supposed to be, a surveyor can come out, dig up one of these posts, and be like, no, we know the exact down to like less than a centimeter error on Earth where this post is supposed to be, buried under the ground, and your fence should be exactly 1 meter away from it, Dylan, and now it's magically 4 meters away from it. Screw you, you moved your fence. Which is a really, really cool thing that exists. The downside is, though, what happens if Dylan randomly digs that pipe up and just moves it? Does that throw all the data out? So the surveying project is to make a thing that would allow a surveyor to know whether one of these things have been dug up and moved, and whether it's a valid mark to use or it's been compromised. So these things need to be buried in the ground for like 100 years. So their timelines are quite different to yours. So anyway, I'm going to throw up one more thing. Now, this is a very rapidly written draft by someone that I want to point out just a couple of little things on it. Now, I don't have like an audio recording. They've just sent me this introduction to their pitch here. What I want to point out here is the danger of writing your pitch down and not speaking it as you go. Because if you were to try and read this out loud, you would find it feels quite awkward. Well, and it may not for this particular person. For this particular person, it might feel totally natural and wonderful. But when I tried to read this, it felt awkward to me. It doesn't have my pacing. It doesn't have my cadence. And so this is a bit of a danger that some people could fall into when they write their pitch out and they try to get it letter perfect, and they're not constantly practicing it as they go. So as you're drafting, and this person is still drafting, you should draft, read, draft, read, draft, read, draft, read, draft, read. And you might find that this cadence is great for you, or you might find that good morning and welcome to Dr. Dylan Cuss-Kelly and tutor, our diffuse energy representatives, and to all other guests we have in the room. It doesn't work for me. Good morning, welcome to Dr. Dylan Cuss-Kelly, our tutor, diffuse energy representatives, that, and doesn't work for Dylan. It might work for you, but it doesn't work for Dylan. So doing these little tweaks, and I would never say, and to all other guests, I would say, and to our other guests. The word all there, again, doesn't work for Dylan. It might work for this person, but constantly the difference between what you write and what you want to say can be quite stark. So practice talking while you go. So that's one thing. Another thing is this. Today, I, team member 1, along with team member 2, 3, and 4, and this is fun, will provide an opportunity for your company to become Australia's leading emergency power supply distributors. This is danger. Overstating your position can be problematic. Now, they've done well. The word opportunity here is nice because they haven't committed to anything, but they're absolutely overstating their position. They have no way of presenting something to me that is going to allow me to become Australia's leading energy whatever. They better blow my fucking socks off, or I'm just going to be disappointed in them at this point. Now, getting this right is really, really tricky. Trying to amp me up and get me excited to see your project is absolutely something you want to do. Over-promising and under-delivering is not something you want to do. So getting that balance right is just a little tricky. But this person is probably overstating their position there. In accompaniment with the Highlander 920, our blah vertical axis turbine will energize vital telecommunications infrastructure across the nation, future-proofing our friends, families, and neighbors against natural disasters. I love the concept. I hate the wording. Accompaniment is not a word that I would say. Again, you might. I love the idea that they're saying, so the background here is Diffuse Energy is a wind turbine company. They currently have the Highlander 920 on the market, and they're looking for a companion product to go with it. The Highlander 920 is quite big. They want a smaller, cheaper version to go with it. So this person is acknowledging, hey, you've already got this. We are deliberately going to work with that, not compete with it, which is great. To energize vital telecommunication infrastructure across the nation. I don't love the wording, but the concept here is good. What will it do? It will power telecommunication infrastructure. Cool. The fact that you're telling me that is fine. Future-proofing our friends, families, and neighbors against natural disasters. I actually love this sentence. I love that you bring to me the fact that, yeah, there's part of this which is an engineering-y thing, which is providing electrons to telecommunications. But the real reason you want to care about this, Dylan, is because your friends and family will be safe in a natural disaster. That's something I want to fund. I want to get behind saving people in natural disasters. Fuck yeah. That's great. So, the wording I find awkward, but some of the parts of this I really, really like. Together we will not only revolutionize accessibility to critical communication devices during emergencies, but also sustainable energy practices in the domestic market. Yeah, again, I think you're overstating your position there. It's not bad, but I think you might be overstating your position. Okay. 17 more. Oh, okay. All right. So they're the 3 pictures I had that I wanted to go through. Thank you to everybody who provided them. I hope that the feedback was helpful to you. It certainly gave me a lot of things to talk about in a more meaningful way than just dot points on slides. So I really appreciate you getting them together and getting them to me. I understand that having your work criticized on stream, and I hope you didn't take it as too harsh a criticism, but having your work critiqued on stream is not always the easiest thing on earth. I'm going to answer the questions in the chat. If you have any more questions about Assessment 6, about Demo Day, about pitching stuff, please throw them up now. Clyde, maybe your calendar can only last the end of 2024. Oh, okay. You're very nervous in front of people. That's worth addressing, actually. Because this doesn't exist in ENGG1500 anymore. It used to. For those of you I still have on the stream, so for many years in ENGG1500, the lectures were live face to face. Like all pre-COVID, all the lectures were live face to face, right? Um, it was about 500 people would come to the lectures. We used to book the biggest lecture theatre that the university had. For one of the years, we were actually in the Great Hall because we didn't fit anywhere else. We had that many students. And I would stand up on stage and I would present the lectures similar to what you've seen, but obviously different and more interactively and stuff like that. I did that as my job for many years. Every single time before I would lecture, I would get so nervous that I would want to go into the bathroom and throw up. On more than one occasion, I would walk from engineering to the Great Hall and have to stop, deviate to a bathroom because I didn't think I'd make it to the Great Hall without vomiting. I am that terrified of public speaking. Suck it up. Do it anyway. That's my advice to you. Don't let the fact that you are nervous make you think that you are bad. These two things are not related in any way, shape, or form. Most people, when I ask them, hey, do you think Dylan gets nervous in public speaking? They're like, no, he's the chillest guy, he's whatever, he's obviously completely fine. I am shitting bricks all the fucking time. I am terrified of public speaking. That's the gig. So I had an acting coach for a while who taught me some stuff, and I spoke to them about my nerves. And her advice to me was, and she was the most lovely, beautiful person on the face of the earth, that's the gig. Get over it. Okay. And you do. You accept the fact that you will be nervous. You acknowledge the fact that you being nervous does not mean that you will be bad. At all. They are not related in any way, shape, or form. And you swallow it and you move on. And you be nervous every single time you present in your entire life. And you swallow it and you move on. There's nothing wrong with being nervous. Don't confuse it. Don't make it think that you are bad. You are not bad. You're just nervous. It happens to everybody. Okay? I know that that's not like a magic wand that I wave and I make all of your problems go away. But don't let it get in your head. Okay? I hope that helps. For my team's robot, can I say that it has adaptive path following? Can we start it anywhere on the track and market that as something reliability or foolproof? Yeah, that's a totally valid argument. You do your first presentation normally, your first run normally, but in your second or third run, you could absolutely hand your bot to your tutor and, prep them for this in the pitch. We'd like to use our third run by handing you the bot and having you start it somewhere randomly on the track. That's a great thing to demonstrate. 17 more subs to 1K? Really? Am I that close? I want to get 1,000 subscribers. Oh, I don't even know where my stream is. There it is. I have no idea how to check my subscriber count. I have no idea how to check my subscriber count. If I did, I'd probably have 1,000 subscribers by now. I want 1,000 subscribers. Anyway. Is it fine to address the room as the panel? Yes. How to beat stage fright? Don't. Don't fight it. Don't think of it as something to beat. Don't think of stage fright as your enemy. Think of stage fright as your ally. It's going to give you energy. It's going to get you hyped up. Yeah, it's a terrified version of hyped up, but don't try and fight it because you can't beat it. Don't try. Just let it be. Just let yourself be nervous. It's fine. I'm nervous. I'm terrified. I'm probably going to throw up. Okay. Then I throw up. Who cares? It's not going to it's not going to bring down my performance. My performance is still going to be awesome. From your experience, a turbine that starts spinning at 5 meters a second, would it be considered crap or okay? It depends on how much power you produce at high wind speeds. That's a reasonably high startup, but it's not absurd. If you're trading startup speed for high performance, there's nothing wrong with that at all. For A6, can you explain the assumptions and models related to the problem for software? Very similar to the your assessment 2 report. So assumptions and models that you're bringing in there is how you can be things like assumptions about the presenters and the level of encryption that's required and the organizational structure of the DSTG and stuff like that. And also how you represent certain things in Thunkable. There are certain things that you wanted to do and you've modeled them in a certain way and you're representing them in Thunkable like that. So it's something, it might even be worth going all the way back to week 2 and watching the software specific assumptions and models video might help you there from the lectures. If you mess up the pitch, nobody's going to hunt you down with pitchforks. That is absolutely correct. That is 100% true. Nobody will hunt you down with pitchforks. Although that will be of small comfort to many of you whilst you are standing up in front of 20 people. It's absolutely a true fact, and if that makes you feel better, great. But it doesn't necessarily make some people feel better. But you are absolutely correct. I'm not going to hunt you down because you did a bad job of your presentation. Take a breath. I'm not expecting you to be an actor. I don't expect everybody else to have had an acting coach like that one person in the chat had. It's fine. For DSAR, would it be acceptable to mention something about the time of year being almost winter, but it is for Fijian summer dry season instead, which would increase yield and such? Not really, because how does that separate you from everybody else? That's again, we know. Why does that matter in this case? Everybody else's design would also be better. Now, there might be a very specific reason why, and if there is a very specific reason, like the latitude means that the zenith of the sun will always be higher in the sky in Fiji than it will be here, then maybe you've got an argument on your hands. But it's not as good as of an argument as you might first think. It depends. It depends what the next sentence to this is. Why does it matter? Why does that make you different from any other team? And you could have a really good follow-up to that, and then absolutely yes. But if you don't have a great follow-up to that, maybe meh. Can I please clarify on the current test track for the robot? Will the current full track in 309 have the surface changed? No, it will not. Will the new surface? No, it will not. No, nothing will change. That track is the track. That's why I keep saying to people, if you get the track dirty, I will fail your entire team. Don't do it. It's also why you have old track parts in that room, because those old track parts have the level of wear on them that the actual track will have come test day. I don't know if I missed it in last week's live stream, but what are the crucial talking points for the pitch? Kind of why should I invest in your team plus your costs? It is in the last live stream, and I have timestamped that live stream, so you should be able to go to it and just find the timestamp and watch it on double speed until you find the bit where I'm talking about the relevant stuff. I tried to be pretty pedantic with how many timestamps I put in there, so hopefully you can find that real quick in that last live stream. Do I recommend presenters to memorize answers to certain questions? No. Memorize, no. Be prepared for, yes, absolutely. Having a strictly memorized thing, if I ask you a question, it's because I want you to talk to me about it. So having something like a politician's memorized response doesn't always feel great, but absolutely having an idea of what you're going to say to certain questions is absolutely something you should have. It's at 984, 16 subs. I think it's 15 now. 10 more. I'm going to get there. I'm probably not going to get there. One person is presenting and everyone can be asked questions. That is true. That is a way of doing it. You can have one person be presenting. You could have everybody presenting. But anyone can be asked any question on any topic for any reason. I don't know where you think I'm going to get that much Red Bull on demo day, and I don't know why anybody thinks if Dylan has access to Red Bull on demo day, he's not going to consume all of it. Should you dress fancy for D-Day? A lot of teams do. It's very common for a team to show up with like a uniform. I say that in terms of like they'll all wear black pants and red shirts, or more commonly black pants and a butt, and they'll all wear button-up shirts or something like that. That's quite common. I would expect you at bare minimum to look presentable, and it can really help for the team to look nice and uniform, and clearly they are a team, because I'm making up my mind about you in 2 minutes, right? Assume I know nothing about you, because to the vast majority of you, like, you need to acknowledge I meet 700 students a week and my brain just leaks information. So you've got 2 minutes on test day to convince me that you're an awesome kick-ass team that I should invest in. And if you all stand up looking like an awesome kick-ass team, you're on the front foot already. I already like you. Cool. If you show up looking uninvestable, then you're on the back foot already. I'm not saying you can't gain or lose ground from that position, but it can certainly help, or it could certainly hurt if you did a very bad job of it. So, do you have to dress up? No. Should you go out and buy a three-piece suit? Absolutely not. But there's potential ground to be gained in this environment. How many people will be pitching to? Depends on the project. Most of you will pitch to your class, plus maybe me if I can be free. Sometimes I'm required to be in 3 or 4 places at once on test day, but I'll be in every class I can be. Your tutor and your tutorial class is most of you. The aeros, for example, will be pitching to everybody in aerospace because we'll combine all 3 of those classes. The desals might be sort of pitching to everybody. They might only be pitching to a few people. Is anybody else different? I know if you're in education, Josh Bywater's got a couple of professional teachers or principals or something coming in, so there'll be a few of those people. But the vast majority of you will be pitching to about 20, 25 people. So presentation matters even before the pitch starts. This is a really good point. It's really interesting about how quickly a crowd starts to draw conclusions about a presenter. So I mentioned in passing before that for a little while I had an acting coach who helped me with some stuff. And one of the things that she spent a lot of time, it wasn't just me that she was working with. I was part of a startup thing, and she was working with quite a few of us. But one of the things she worked on a lot was how we walked to the stage. She talked about losing half your audience before you open your mouth. She spent an hour with us teaching us how to take the stage correctly. For me, it was I had such an intimidating presence that she was this tiny little pocket rocket, and she was like, "There's no way, Dylan, that I would ever sit in the front row when you come out, because I would come out with all the Dylan energy that you'd expect, and it was when I was still playing football and I was a lot bigger and stronger than I am now." And she's like, "Your presence isn't inviting; it's intimidating. You need to learn to relax your presence on stage." So when you are ever presenting, if an audience member can see you, you are being judged. I'm not saying can see you stand up and present. You can be in the back. You can be off to the side. You can be in the crowd, but knowing you're going to get up next. If you can be seen, you are being judged. So one of the other things, just on this tangent, that we were also taught was not just how to take the stage, but when we did it, the one of the things I was at, we were a panel. So there was a panel of us on one side of the stage and another panel on the other side of the stage. And we would get up, go present, come back, sit down. And then the next person would get up, go present, come back, sit down. We were also trained in how to sit on the stage and watch another speaker whilst we were knowing that we were being watched from the side. It was crazy to have to do that, but they were like, if you look disinterested in that speaker, the crowd will hate you before you even get up. You've ruined your chance before you've started speaking because you didn't watch the other speaker correctly. Just wild stuff. So yes, presentation does matter before your pitch starts. Sandal, socks, and a singlet? Ah, unless you're a D-cell, maybe. Maybe you could sell that to me. Will we not be taken seriously if we're wearing high vis? No, you absolutely could be taken seriously in high vis, but you'd present yourself as, we're industry here, we're industry ready, this is what we do. If you want to be in this industry, you should be in your high vis. So that's an appropriate way to present in that environment. That's fine. For software, are we presenting mainly to the DSG? No, you're presenting both to the DSG and to Cornelius. You need both the university and the DSTG to sign off on your design. You have two people you're talking to at the same time. Conveniently, both Liam and Ross are my ex-tutors, so don't stress too much about them as a target audience. You can present to both of us in the same way, and you'll be okay. So for Aero, it's like 60 to 70 people plus maybe extra. It's probably like 50 to 60 people plus maybe extra. Also, by the way, Aero, you're the very last piece of ENGG1500 testing. Friday afternoon, everybody else is done. It's just you. You're it. So the last person who gives the last pitch in Aero will be the last pitch for 1500. Just by the way, just because it's cool. In our two-minute pitch, if it doesn't work, do you want us to outline explicitly that we don't recommend it, or during question time? Yeah, probably. Don't be like, it's shit and it sucks. Be like, and in its current form, I think you might be a mech S Smythe. And the turbine does not spin. We do not expect the turbine to spin. Unfortunately, we do not expect the turbine to spin today. You don't then need to say, and we don't recommend you follow this up. Like, that's fine. If it doesn't spin, it doesn't spin. So don't lay the boot in, but be clear about what your expected test day performance is. And that should go to everybody. Be clear about what your expected test day performance is. Human nature to judge non-stop. Yeah, it is. Human beings are terrible people. And subconsciously, the moment you see someone, that's just survival skills. Yeah, it is. Oh, really? I hit 1,000 subs? I'm a real YouTuber now. I'm so proud of my online self. Hey! 1,001 subscribers! Pretty sure you're not meant to show this screen on stream either, for reasons. I don't quite know why. I'm going to retire and become a professional YouTuber and make exactly $0 ever. You guys are the best. Okay. Aside from watching Dylan smile like an idiot because he met a meaningless milestone, which is 1,000 subs, is there anything else anybody needs? Or shall we call it here and let you all get to working on your pitches or having a sleep because I know you've been working really hard? Who's the first pitch in 1500? I think it's the robots. There's a Monday 12 o'clock robot class, and there's a Monday 12 o'clock aero class. But because the aeros will be on Friday, it will be the Monday 12 o'clock robot class will be the first one. Which also was the very first time ENGG1500 ever ran. 8 years ago now. The very first pitch was a robot one as well. They happened to be the first one. And the very first pitch was given, and they put their bot down, and it completed the entire track on the first go. And I was happier than anyone else in the room when that happened, because no part of ENGG1500 had worked yet at that stage, and they were the very first people to go, and they absolutely smashed it. They got 100% on the very first run. It was just the most amazing thing. So they were the first ones all the way back, and they get to be the first ones next week as well. Yeah, it would have been more appropriate to have a Red Bull ready, wouldn't have it, when I hit 1,000 subs? Why am I so friendly on stream and in person less so? Because when I'm less friendly to you guys, it's because there is I can identify a very clear way of projecting you forward with a kick in the ass. It sucks to have to always be the bad guy, but it is undeniably the best way to get you guys to achieve the most in the course. We've tried it. We've tried friendly Dylan. We've tried the version of Dylan that you guys sometimes get. Without doubt, the best way to get outcomes out of students is to have a tutor who always has their back and a Dylan who comes in and pushes them vigorously sometimes to project forward. It doesn't always make you like me, and that sucks, but it does make genuinely much better engineers at the end of the day. And my job is not to be liked. My job is to graduate engineers who kick ass. And you're going to kick ass as an engineer. It's how it is. It took me actually many years to get over the fact that my job wasn't to be liked. It was to make engineers who I would be proud to employ, and I would be proud to employ you. And sometimes the reason I know I'd be proud to employ you is because when things are difficult, you still do good work. It sucks. I really hate it a lot of the time. But that's okay, because my job is to make good engineers, and you're going to be a good engineer. Who exactly is the pitch presented to in mech? Like, is it just the class, or we are in? It's the class you're in. It's the class you're in, and your tutor, plus a bunch of the other tutors from mech and aero will be there as well. What's your most enjoyable discipline demo day? I do have a soft spot for the robots because they were first. I really like aero because it's last, and there's like 60 people in the aero thing, and it's such a cool way to end it. I love mech testing because there's a chance that their things will just explode and tear themselves to shreds. So it's like always a little bit nail biting. What else is there that's really fun? I'm really excited about surveying this year because it's a brand new project for surveying and we've never tried it before, and I'm super duper excited to see how it goes. Medical's cool because they actually wire their ECGs to me, so I get to see my own heartbeat, which is wild. I don't know. I like a lot of them. I do really have. I'm a bit of a sucker for having a crowd. So the arrows on the final day are always a really nice thing for me. But I don't know. I love all my kids the same. Ah, we brought you over to the dark side. Is this the only course you'll have? You will have me for. So we're going to actually talk a little bit about some things next week in the stream about what I will be doing in the future and how you might be able to do more things. So will you be taught by me again in a formal class? Not like this, at the very least, but there will be some electives and things you can do where you would be able to do some really cool stuff that I'm going to be part of moving forward in the future. I'm going to talk about it in the stream next week. I don't know if this has been answered, but we need to include 3 costs in the pitch or just on the demo day sheet thing. It's probably a good idea to have them in the pitch. At least the cost for Dylan to make one moving forward. If you're a project where that makes sense. So yeah, I would have the costs in the pitch unless you had a really good reason not to. Is Lockheed Martin going to be there on Aero Demo Day? I don't think so, unfortunately. Not the CEO of Lockheed Martin. No, I don't think we're going to have the industry reps there this year. I didn't actually ever want like a CEO of Lockheed Martin. What I wanted to get was a bunch of first or second year out students, people who graduated like last year or the year before. I thought would have been really cool to get them in, but the ducks just didn't align. It's getting industry partners in. Sometimes it's just a bit of a roll of the dice. The people have to be free at the right times and things like that. And unfortunately, the stars just didn't align this year, which is a little bit of a bummer. But it doesn't matter because Aero Test Day, you're gonna love it anyway. It's gonna be great. Don't be too let down by that. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. All right. It looks like most of our viewers are out. It looks like most of our questions are done. Good luck over the next week. Good luck for demo day. If everything explodes, send me a DM. But otherwise, good luck, everybody. You guys are going to crush it. You don't need my luck. You're going to crush it. I have absolute faith in you from this point outwards. I understand that some of you are going to be busy over the weekend, but that's okay. You're going to crush it from here. I am supremely confident in you. I understand that it's been a semester, but you got this from here. At least from my perspective, you got this from here. So good luck and good night, everybody.